Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the AI in the Real World episode. AI is rapidly evolving from system that assist us with information to system that can reason, plan, and take action on our behalf. This new wave of agentic AI has the potential to transform enterprise workflows, but it also raises important questions around trust, quality, and operational readiness. And that is exactly what we are going to explore in today's episode. The theme of our conversation today is from AI assistant to autonomous agents, operationalizing agentic AI in the enterprise. To help us unpack this exciting and fast evolving topic, I am delighted to welcome Prasad Naidu, Principal Engineer at Salesforce. Prasad brings deep expertise in enterprise AI, agentic systems, LLM based automation, and AI driven quality engineering, with a strong focus on helping organizations move AI from pilots to reliable production system. Welcome to the podcast, Prasad. Thank you for taking the time today to join us. I'm excited to start our conversation. But before we jump into our questions, why don't you briefly introduce yourself and share a little about your journey in this with our audience?
Thank you, Sheetal. I really appreciate your time and opportunity, giving me an opportunity.
My pleasure.
So, actually, I'm feeling very excited to be part of this webinar. And for our organization, this is very important discussion, like from AI assistants to autonomous agents,
Mm-hmm.
operationalizing agentic AI in the enterprise. It is, in my perspective, it comes from working across enterprise platform, automation, quality engineering,
Mm-hmm.
AI validations, and trust-centric engineering. In my role as a principal engineer at Salesforce,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen how critical it is to operationalize AI, not only for the productivity, but also for the reliability, security, observability, and enterprise trust. So
Mm-hmm.
today, I look forward to share practical insights on how organizations can move from experimentation to responsible adoption of agentic AI.
And I'm looking forward to hear from your experience. So
Thank you so
thank
much.
you. Once again, welcome to our episode. And let's jump into our questions. I will directly touch the core topic of our discussion. So many teams in today's world experimenting with AI assistant today, right? At what point does an assistant become an autonomous agent, and what fundamentally changes in the way we design software?
Wow. So you started with a great question. So this is really an important distinction because many organizations are using the term AI assistant and AI agent
Mm-hmm.
interchangeably.
Mm-hmm.
But architecturally, they are not the same.
Exactly.
So let me make it clear for audience. So an AI assistant is primarily a reactive. That means it helps a user complete a task when prompted.
Mm-hmm.
It can summarize information, answer questions, draft content, and retrieve knowledge or recommendations, and it also suggests the next steps.
Mm-hmm.
But the human is still driving the workflow. That is the common point in the AI assistant. When it comes to the autonomous agent goes through a step further. It gives a given a goal to the agent, it understands the context, makes a plan, takes an action through different tools or systems,
Mm-hmm.
observes the results, and adjusts its next steps without any human interference. In other words, the agent does not all only answer, it acts on its own independently. So this shift from a response generation to goal-driven execution is where the software design fundamentally changing.
That's a great answer, and thank you for that exact distinguish between what consider be to be considered AI assistant and what exactly mean by agentic AI, because it's replica of our brain, right? The way we learn from our experience, then adjust our course of action. That's exactly we try to achieve with this agentic AI.
Yeah.
So perfect
To
definition.
elaborate a little bit on that. So
Please.
generally in traditional software, we usually design a predictable workflow. That means a user clicks a button, the system flows predefined logic, and
Mm-hmm.
it returns some almost all deterministic results.
Yes.
With autonomous agents, we are designing a system that reasons through uncertainty. We don't know what is going to happen, but the system has to navigate that process. So
Mm,
they may choose a different paths depending on the business context, data availability, user intent,
mm.
permissions, tools. So tool responses, and all this will be autonomously taken care by the agents.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
That's what I was like inclined. It's not rule based. Like if something happens, do this action. It's not like rigid per se, or you don't have to predefine those rules for agentic AI tool. It's like autonomously looking at the history, looking at the options available, looking at the all the context in that
can
situation.
take
It makes
action.
that decision. So that's very important, and that's exactly where we are saying that replica of human brain basically, right? The way our brain
Exactly.
works, looking at all the surroundings when you're driving, taking into consideration all the aspect of should we put the brake, should we go ahead or something like that. So
Exactly,
that,
exactly. So
that
it would say, I can say now that an assistant becomes an autonomous agent when it moves from simply recommendation actions to executing multiple steps actions
mm,
towards a defined outcome. So that's where the distinguish comes clearly.
wonderful. Okay, so let's dwell a little bit more on that. I want to understand why agentic AI feels different. So you have worked across multiple domain, if I may say, like automation, quality engineering, enterprise platform, right? So what excites you most about this agentic AI compared to the previous wave of automation?
It's a nice question, yes. So what excites me most is that in agentic AI, can say represents a major evolution from rule-based automation to an adaptive automation. That's what the most exciting. It excites me when I think about how to approach in this direction.
Mhm. Okay.
So what does it mean is earlier in the earlier way of automation, like going back to the second like a couple of years back,
Mhm.
the automation was powerful but limited in the sense the script, a workflow, or engine, or test automation, and the robotic process automation could automate repetitive tasks,
Mm.
but they depends heavily on predefined rules, like what you mentioned earlier.
Mhm.
So in the input, that means if the input change, if the process had an exception, or if the business context shifted, the automation often fails
Mm.
or it requires human intervention.
Change. Yeah.
So, but when agentic AI changes that equation,
Mhm.
so it allows us to automate not just the steps, but also reasoning across the steps. It can think, it can see the output, it can take the decision, it can fix the test, it can execute. That's how this is changing completely the paradigm around it. So
Absolutely.
an agent can interpret the context, it retrieves information,
Mhm.
selects tools what it needed, it makes decisions, and it adjusts when something unexpectedly happens that creates a very different level of enterprise values.
Mhm.
So in that case, from many perspectives, or even my perspective, the most exciting part is not simply that the agents can complete work faster, it is that they can help enterprise operate with a greater intelligence. So they can support complex workflows such
Mhm.
as a software validation, release readiness,
Mhm.
customer operations, compliance review, engineering support, and incidents analysis and knowledge management. So these are the areas where the traditional automation often struggles
Mhm.
because the work involves judgment, context, prioritization, and exceptions.
Perfect.
So,
Wonderful.
but yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
But I'm like listening to your answer, I'm trying to think of a use case. So if you have any probably use case to share with us based on experience, I'm trying to like imagine how it will work because now you do not have any predefined rule except context. The tool does not have any other information. So how do you like if a layman has to understand the difference between this AI assistant and agentic AI, what changes from the um, design perspective or software perspective to make that difference? If you
Exactly.
can.
Definitely, I can give you a little elaboration on that. It's a good question. So let us assume let's take a simple web application.
Mm,
So let me, I have written some automation. So I need to go click a button. Let's
mm,
say login button is there. So I
mm,
want to click a login button and
mm.
that gives two fields, enter username, password, a simple one.
Correct.
Now, let's assume that's how it's working fine.
Mm,
Now, next thing is same thing, but only there is a little change in the text. Instead of login, let's say user login is the button name now.
mm.
So if user login is the button name, so traditional software, I am automated to validate the login. If the
Mm.
button name is login, it goes and do and work. But now user login, the text change, the traditional software
It
will
will
fail.
identify.
It
Okay.
don't know what to interact with this.
Mm,
But that this agent, autonomous agents, is intelligent enough saying that, hey, this is actually the functionality is same, only the text change. So this can be used in the same way. Then it will go and do the operations
mm.
and it comes back and fix the code. Oh,
Perfect.
so no relevant code has to be updated so that it can run next time. It will go ahead and without any
It would take that
issues.
much time.
Okay.
Perfect. That's a great example. Like the logical thinking. I think
Yeah,
that's the missing part. That logical thinking part has been introduced. So now
exactly.
it makes a judgment call. Like, does it sound similar? Is that a similar function? And then explore and then coming back and fixing the code so that next time he doesn't have to wonder. So that's a great shift. Thank you.
Even it can get back into the code, it see, elements changed or what is changed actually. Is it functionality change or is it only button name change or label text change? It can take a decision without failing the test. It can fix it and run it.
I like this example because for everybody, it's very easy to understand when you gave example, right? We
Exactly.
all
Yeah.
talk about a fancy world, and AI has been a little bit overwhelming for folks, including me, that
Yeah.
everybody talks about. But when you put in perspective with example, it makes sense, total sense, and then you can capture the message immediately. So
Exactly.
thank you for giving that example. Going further, I would like to know more about agents in quality engineering specifically because that's your core. And given your strong background in that area, how do you see autonomous agents transforming, especially the software testing and release validation part?
It's a very good question. So that's where
And that's a very
yeah.
critical part of any project. Like, unless until QA approves it, nothing goes in production. So
Exactly. Yeah.
that's why, like, I'm very curious to know how it is
Sure. Yeah.
impacting that core.
Exactly. So I believe software testing and the release validation will be one of the most important areas transformed by these autonomous agents. So that is the first area where you can see a lot of change in the because of the autonomous agents. I will
Mhm.
explain that with. So traditionally, quality engineering has been organized around test cases, automation scripts, regression suites,
Mhm.
like defect tracking and release gates, etc.
Mhm.
And these practices are still important, no doubt. I'm not saying they're not important,
Mhm.
but the enterprise system have become much more complex now.
Mhm.
It's not just simple process.
Mhm.
Today, we are dealing with the cloud platforms, microservices, APIs, integrations, data pipelines,
Mhm.
security requirements like AI models, and continuously changing user experience.
Correct.
So with this generative AI and the agentic systems,
Mhm.
the complexity increased even more because the outputs are non-deterministic. Earlier, if you ask a question, the program used to return always same answer back.
Mhm.
Now, if you ask a question, there is no guarantee that you will get same answer back in 10 times.
Correct.
Every time the answer may different, but semantically it may be same, but
Mhm.
the language will change every time the response will you get from the agent. In
Mhm.
that case, the traditional automation will break.
Correct.
So now automation agents are can transfer this issue, actually the quality engineering, into three major ways.
Mhm.
So first one is the agent can improve test design. That means instead of relying only on the manually written test cases, an
Mhm.
agent can analyze the requirements given. A file is given, it will analyze, it will create a user stories,
Mhm.
it gives a design documents, and it see the historical defects, what has been filed so far and what issues has been found,
Mhm.
and it analyze the production incidents and system behavior to recommend in the high value test scenarios. So it can go and do all this given the access to particular tools. It will
Mhm.
go do on all the research and give back. So what are the high value test scenarios for this particular feature for this application for this customer in these scenarios.
Okay.
Okay, so that way it can definitely identify the missing coverage,
Mm.
edge cases, which is becomes a bugs in the production later. Then
Yes.
integration risks and security sensitive workflows. It will completely can do a good job in those things.
Wow, that's a
That
big
is, yeah,
in this testing because obviously, as you correctly said, age cases are the like you always. I don't want to generalize, but most of the cases we tend to test happy scenarios, right? And happy scenario always work in
works. Yes,
all the cycles, stage cycles. But come the production, the moment code comes into production, something that because there are various aspect of
exactly.
business scenario, and the moment that new scenario comes into picture, the system starts to going haywire. So
Absolutely. That is the fundamental problem because there is we have some limitations to think all edge cases.
yeah.
Any human has a limitations, but of course, in Salesforce we have a lot of checks and balances to make sure no edge case is missed. But in
Hmm.
a human tendency, it's always a
Yeah.
problem. We can miss it. Yes.
Because the volume of the sheer volume is so much, it's very
Yes.
hard for a human brain to like process that much volume for every case, right? Like
Exactly.
and that's not the only job you have on the when you are doing work. There are multiple projects going on. You have to take care of other aspects of your professional life, like there are reporting, monitoring, and other stuffs, right? So this
Exactly.
helps a lot. So one part which caught my eye in your answer is the review of the defect logs from production to define test cases. That's something fundamentally new because usually, again, coming back to the traditional model, when you define the test scripts based on your experience, oh yeah, and mostly we go with what is the most common scenario. We start listing from there, and in that tendency, because of again coming to volume, if you have big project, number of test cases become increasing. So we always
Exactly.
start what at least try, let's take care of the happiest scenario, which is the most common, so that we address most of our concern, and then we'll come to the edge cases later on. But now, before even defining, you are looking at the defect log and taking in into account in building those test scripts. That's something is evolution, if I may say, in the quality. Uh,
Yeah. Exactly. Because of this, now we have no limitation on what documents, what process, what logs the AI can process. It can
Right.
process tremendous
Yes.
huge amount of text and documents and logs. So that is the
And
advantage. It's bringing a lot of value addition. Yes.
absolutely. I mean, this is very fascinating for me. I would love to explore this,
Right.
and that's why I like about this podcast. Like everybody who comes on my podcast brings such a new perspective through their experience because usually you don't like I have QA team in our organization too, but you don't sit down and talk about because you have deadlines to meet your projects and everything,
That's
right?
true. That's true. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this gives me a chance to look into the like literally being in your shoes and look at the things. So
Exactly.
I that's what I love about this podcast. So thank you once again for giving
Oh,
that
no worries.
unique
It's very, very
perspective.
valuable discussion. There
Uh,
is no quality engineering is something that you can't define a scope of that.
mhm,
The way you can expand it, you can think innovatively, you can define things. There is a lot quality engineering can bring because a simple bug, let's say, take a simple example, traditional example. Let's say a spell mistake in a text, a label is people can see one spell mistake, it's not a big deal.
mhm.
Think that the spelling mistake is a name of a company,
Yeah.
the brand. Okay, see
Absolutely.
how that impact it creates when you
Yes.
go when a company release a software with a spell mistake in the name or a brand name or whatever it is. So
Absolutely.
that is where the quality engineering can go any beyond the limits and bring a lot of value addition to the customers.
Absolutely. It could be like at the stake of brand image, or
Yes,
it could be minimal. So
yes,
the impact is huge, and
use.
it could be huge
Yes.
based on the.
There are examples, multiple examples where simple bugs which missed in the quality engineering, quality process, customers are frustrated. There is a business losses. So I see a lot of things when I talk to the people outside of my company when I go to the webinars and etc. They say, hey, this issue happened. What do you want me to do? How can you try us this kind of things? I'll always get a questions, then
Mhm.
I'll be giving suggestions in my experience of this industry. So I know
But
what is happening.
because you're talking about the examples, that one thing just came into my mind is the CrowdStrike incident. That
Yes,
exactly
exactly.
happened because of this, right? The
Yeah,
release was not tested, and that's why it has huge impact. So that's
exactly. Yeah.
like, it could be the brand image at the end of
Yeah.
the day if you miss
Even
something like
it can be
small.
image, it can be revenue, it can be interest in the
And
nation. I mean, it's a critical service. It's not only customers are impacting, the nation is impacting,
uh,
the business is impacting, industry is impacting. So yeah.
everybody, everything came to stand still, right? Because of
Yeah, exactly.
one
Yeah.
release. So yeah, the impact is multifold. Absolutely. Thank you for again giving that perspective. So going a little bit more on the workflow side, what is the one enterprise workflow where you believe agentic AI can deliver outsized value in the near term?
Oh, that's a really very good question. So one enterprise workflow where I believe agentic AI can deliver outside value in the near term, you are asking, right? In the
Yeah.
near term,
I
I
mean,
think
everything has to be near term in today's world. I cannot even imagine what will happen tomorrow
exactly,
because everybody is like innovating every day, right? Things what
exactly.
were valid month back are not even valid because agentic, like I remember
Yeah, you
till
can't predict
yesterday we
more
were
than 6 months, 3 months, what happens out
exactly
there.
like till yesterday we were talking about generative AI
Yeah,
and suddenly now everybody is talking about agentic AI. Like by the time you grasp the idea of one tool, there is something new coming up. So
exactly.
I have stopped talking in years. It's it's months now. I hope it
Makes
doesn't come
sense.
to days. For sure.
Obvious. So one thing I can say, there are many things. One thing came in my mind immediately is, the release readiness and the risk assessment, what we discussed.
Mm,
Risk assessment is very important.
mm,
So if you identify the exact risks, then we can, if you know what is going to be the risk, then we can definitely plan and mitigations and fix it. If you don't know what is the risk, if you miss any one aspect of a risk, then that is what that comes into the picture. So
mm,
AI can do because of the intelligence and the kind of knowledge and the data will provide to the AI, and also release readiness. So sometimes we don't know how good the software is,
mm,
even though you're testing manually, automation we wrote, a lot of coverage we made, but we are not certain that there is nothing we can certify. Hey, I did thoroughly 100% tested, 100% good,
mm,
because AI can do a lot of stuff beyond 24 by 7. It
mm,
can it can go any boundaries. It can cross the boundaries. Then release readiness, when you can make sure all the tests, all the combinations are executed based on the suggestions given by the autonomous system or AI,
mm.
then we can say we can do a good job in that areas. So like the release readiness and risk assessment could be the most important things that quality engineering can help.
And I think both goes hand in hand, right?
Yes, exactly.
Because the sheer volume what AI can process, the risk can be contained. If
Yeah,
you like,
exactly.
it can identify the risk first place, and then it can contain the risk because of early
Yeah,
identification.
exactly.
And then because once you get that, basically you gain the confidence for release management
Exactly. Exactly.
because of early identification of risk, and then managing that risk gives you more confidence on
Confidence.
releasing your software. So I think very well put, Prasad, on this. I am liking the way this
Okay.
conversation is unfolding and organically. So
Exactly. Yeah.
thank you. But again, every change is like not everybody likes change, right? And there is always resistance when something new comes. And probably it's true for me too. When AI came, I wasn't sure whether I can embrace AI or not because I'm totally functional, never learned any coding language and everything. So it was overwhelming, as I said earlier too. And then you resist, right? If something is shaking
Obvious.
your foundation, then you will resist to adopt that change.
This is the first fundamental human tendency.
Reaction.
Change always have some resistance, right? Reaction.
Exactly. So, what mindset shift has to happen in engineers from the habits, from the like learnings we have done for over the years through the traditional model? What becomes very important while building this autonomous agent? uh, from, by changing the mindset from the traditional setup?
Yeah, so definitely the first thing I can see is the ownership.
Mm,
So in the traditional software, every service or API and deployment pipeline usually has a owner.
mm,
The agent that comes in even more important because agents are not just returning the output.
mm,
They may call tools, update the records, trigger workflows,
mm,
make recommendations that influence decisions. So
mm,
we need to know who owns what,
mm,
who owns the agent, and who owns the tools so it can call, and who owns the data it uses, and who is accountable when something goes wrong. So
mm,
that is one of the major things we need to think about it.
mm. So you cannot let go of ownership. You have to
Yeah.
put owners for, even though AI is doing job, somebody has to own the decision made by AI, is what
Yes.
I hear from your answer. Perfect. I think that's more goes toward the discipline, who owns what action, and then having that clarity, like
Yeah,
we still
exactly.
own that decision making power from our tools. Perfect. Then going towards the system thinking, like this is from the team's perspective, but from the system perspective, quality engineering has always been about validating the expected behavior, right? Verifying whether this is working as per the expectation. How do you test system whose behavior can vary based on the context and reasoning? Because you were saying now it learn, like it looks at the context, make the decision, come back, change the code, and adopt based on its learning, right? So it's not now fixed, as you earlier also said. You cannot predict what answer you will give back. So little bit more dwelling on that same topic, how AI
Exactly.
strategies work in this
Exactly.
space.
Okay, so this is the one of the biggest mind shift that's going to happen. You asked the right question, so thanks for answering. The people should know it. So in traditional QA, so we often test deterministic behavior, right?
Mm,
So given an input, I expect the exact output. Always, you should run the test like I mentioned earlier. You run the test 100 times. In 100 times, this is what the output I
expected
expect for the
outcome.
given input.
Correct.
But when AI system, especially agents, so we are testing not the deterministic behavior, we are testing the probabilistic behavior.
Mm,
Probably this can come. Probably it may answer this. This, like the probability of getting this answer is this much.
mm,
So that is where the output may vary, and that is not always a defect.
mm,
So if you say in the traditional way, I'm expecting an answer. Let's say, yeah, I can do this job. Is an let's say answer I'm expecting for any input, or let's say, um, uh, one expected answer is always common every anytime you run. But now when it comes to the agentic AI, the same answer can be 100 times, 100 different ways. If I
mm,
ask same question to you, you may give me the answer similar answer, but the language and the wording or the meaning can change from person to person. Same thing happens in the AI system.
mm,
So we are not testing the output, we are testing the probabilistic behavior. So the output may be same, but meaning contextually same, but
mm,
the different the wording can be different. Or so instead of only testing exact answer, we need to test the behavioral boundaries. So what are the possible answers it can return? So is it our expecting answer is one of that or not? So
mm.
that is what the testing is now different shifting towards.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example.
Yes,
I may
please.
expect the same word every time, but I do expect the agent to say within a policy. That means use the right data source, call the correct tools,
Mm,
avoid leaking sensitive information, and
mm,
escalate when confidence is low. So I think AI testing should follow these strict rules, and
mm,
there is four layers in this.
mm.
So I can elaborate if you have a time.
Sure, sure. Yeah, go ahead, please.
So the first one is task success testing. So did the agent completely or complete the intent that the user is asking correctly or not? That's what
Mm,
we'll be testing now. The
mm,
intent is correctly tested or not.
mm,
Second one is the reasoning and the context testing. So did
mm,
it use the right context to do the job? Did
mm,
it ignore irrelevant or the malicious context? So that is important. So If it takes the malicious context along with the right context, then the response can be hallucinate. So
Mm,
when it, let's say if you use a right information, wrong information, it combines both, and it
mm,
will come back with an answer for the response, answer for the question. But that question can be always having hallucination, because it, it has some, apart from the good data, it has some bad data also. So
mm.
our task is to see it is not accessing the bad data, it's always pointing to the right data. So that's what another way to test the agentic system.
Okay.
And third one is the tools uses. So we have defined some tools. Is it using right tool for the right action? For example, I have a tools to create a record, update a record, delete a record.
Mm-hmm.
But when I want to create a record, it shouldn't call the delete record.
Mm,
So is it the decision correctly taken to call the right tool or not?
mm.
That's for the another one. Finally, the safety and security. Is it returning the right information? For is it avoiding the like like the information that avoids race,
Oh, biased.
like a
Biased.
bias, everything should be, and also harmful content for the,
Mm,
it depends on the what content is written. So we
mm.
need to make sure personal information is secured, and it's not information is not biased, and there is no discrimination, and the right content is used and right time, and the right tools are called. So this evaluation is important in the going forward in the agentic system.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So everything, any innovation comes with a risk. So you have to put guardrails to
Yeah,
safeguard
exactly.
your tools before that. But one short answer from your explanation, what I can think of is we have been doing like fixed answer for all the scenarios, but at the same time we are we missed for so many years the main aspect of human race is every individual is different, every customer is different. Even though your process you are selling the same product to different customer, every customer can have different contexts, and that's why it might be required to have unique answers. So it's not that AI is hallucinating all the time. Yes, it might, but at the same time that customize unique answer is also required, and that's the progress we are making, that it is taking
Exactly,
into
exactly.
consideration all the aspect of that scenario and then making judgment, but at the
Yes,
same time we own the responsibility of making the context is right so that we are getting the expected output out of it.
exactly. Context. If you don't give right context and right information needed for the system, always it goes to the internet data, whatever it has access to. There is a chance for hallucination. You are rightly made it summarized. Yes.
So I want to conclude this. I mean, this has been a very great conversation, but I wanted to conclude on the high note, which is like, again, what is your perspective from your experience so far in this industry? What, and this is my favorite question of the episode. What you think will distinguish the organization from the other organization by truly while like when they say that we are operationalizing the agentic AI from the one who are just trying and erroring and keeping it in probably demos perspective or keeping it to the small scale, but the ones which are actually taking it to the production. What will distinguish between these two entities?
Yeah. So I can say maybe going down the line in near future.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing is the production mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the organization that succeeds will treat agentic AI as an enterprise system, not as a chatbot experiment. It is nowhere, no more in no nowhere, nowhere in that stage now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they will design for reliability, security, observability, cost, and governance for from day one. So if you want to design a system, don't think about, it's like, you are testing a chatbot experience. It is
Mm-hmm.
nowhere in that stage. We went far ahead of that. So they will need to design the reliability, like what I mentioned, security, observability,
Mm-hmm.
cost, and the governance for from day one. They need to inject these principles in the design system. So that is what the first thing I think.
Stand out.
And secondly, the data readiness.
Mm.
So agents are only as useful as the system
Yeah.
and the data they can safely reason over.
Mm,
So companies with clear data, strong metadata, semantic layers like Salesforce has so great system well set up for that. And the
mm,
governance across will move faster than companies still fighting the fragmented with the fragmented data. And thirdly, the evaluation maturity. So that is very important. Of course, yeah, I'm mentioning it thirdly, but that's very important. So the best organizations will have stronger AI evaluation frameworks that the because before put the system in action, you need to evaluate what you are going to get. So
mm,
you should have a thorough evaluation system.
mm.
Unless you judge what you are getting, you can't design the system.
I think clear goal, like what you want to achieve, and are
Exactly.
you getting
Exactly.
that result out of it? Without, and I think that stays true for everything in life, right? Without goal, whatever you won't reach it because you don't know where you want to reach.
Yes.
Just
Yes. Exactly.
trying out in.
And lastly, I'll finish it.
Oh yes, so good.
So then other one is, I said evaluation frameworks has to be very important, and they will know how to measure task success, hallucination risk, tool usage accuracy, safety, security, latency in the system,
Mm,
cost, and the business impact. So this to measure this, they should have a clear frameworks for evaluation. And finally, the organization readiness. That means it's not a final, it's one another one.
mm,
So agentic AI changes how work get done.
mm,
But successful companies will redesign the process around
mm,
human and agent collaboration. So they will train employees to become reviewers, orchestrators, and the governors,
mm,
not just users of AI tool.
mm,
So as an employee now, not only developing the tool, I should be a first person to use it. I am
mm,
the first person to use it.
yeah.
Then I should know thoroughly how I'm using it, how it is responding. So every employee working on a particular one as a pilot customer for that particular agent. So that way it could be more successful.
Wow. Like again,
And
put yourself in their shoes and then get
yeah,
the feel of
be
it.
play a role of customer. Think about the customer. What customer will get? What
Mm,
happens if customer sees this information, this response?
mm,
So that is important. The organization that will put these principles and also the like a governance by design. That means the organization that scales will guide governance into the architecture. That means identify permissions, audit trails, approval workflows, monitoring, and kill switches. These are all very important for the governance of a system, how it is working, and how to manage it. So that is very important. If the organization would follow these principles, will be winning the challenges and doing the business in better way than other who are not following these principles. That's what I can say.
wonderful. That was a very thorough answer. I liked it. You went into depth, but these are critical check boxes which every company has to look into if they really want to stand out. And the most important, I like it. Put yourself in the customer's shoes.
Exactly.
Get the test of it yourself, and then you can think of others. Very
Exactly.
good. Thank you so much, Prasad. This was very helpful for me. The My takeaway from this conversation is the future of enterprise AI is not just building smart models, but building autonomous system which has same rigor, quality, trust that enterprises expect from mission critical software or from the intelligent human. So that was the message I received from you.
100%. 100% you got rightly summarized. So really nice. So
Thank you. Thank you so
looks like
much.
you are also having a lot of background.
I'm trying, honestly,
Yeah.
trying. But this was very helpful, Prasad, and very candid conversation. I enjoyed our conversation. Hope to have you again on our podcast. We'll stay in touch.
Sure. Thank you so much, Sheetal. It's a great opportunity. I enjoyed the conversation because you